And so we got a full house. We got a full house, so I'll be doing this standing up. I'll be setting the stage here for Mr. Xavier, excuse me, I'm sorry. Mr. Xavier, brother of Mr. Dexter as well. But I'll be sort of setting the stage for him as well. So I thank you all for showing up as well. We got a really good turnout, definitely much better turnout than we had anticipated. If we had anticipated a turnout like this, we wouldn't have done it in here. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Xavier, what did you expect?
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. And I appreciate Mr. Xavier being so willing to start us off with this author spotlight discussion. First one, hopefully a lot more to come as well. So we appreciate Mr. Xavier taking his time out as well as you all taking your time out also. So what I kind of want this to be, at least for the authors that we are able to get in here, I'm hoping that we can have authors come in and we can have a discussion style format. But in the case that we don't, then we'll just use one of the authors we're familiar with, authors that you see in this reading room as well, and sort of have a discussion about them, their biographies, their coming of age, and what has led them to draw inspiration in the direction and towards their works. So that's something that we're going to be discussing as well, and that's something that I'm hoping that Mr. Xavier can give us a lot of insight on also, which I'm sure that he will. So just sort of starting this off, setting the stage, Mr. Xavier has 5 books. So he's written 5 books. He works as, correct me.
23.
You got 23, excuse me, yes, 23. That was nowhere near the amount that I just listed. He has 23 books, 23 books. Are they all published as well?
Yeah.
All published.
Some digital, some paperback.
Some digital, some paperback. And so how I want to start this off is just ask Mr. Xavier to kind of give us a brief rundown. Again, he's passing his biography around, which gives insight into his early life and what's brought him to be the man that he is today. But if you could just kind of give us a brief rundown of who you are and how your experiences has shaped you into the writer that you have become and continuing to evolve into.
Okay. Once again, my name is Xavier Sebastian Gamble. I'm going to start with family. I'm married. I've been married for 38 years. I have three wonderful children. I have a son who's married to Tia. They live in Forest Park with my grandson. He's 5. But then I have a daughter, Christina. She's married to Adonis. They live in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And then I have a young baby girl, Carrie. She should be married next year this time, hopefully. So she has herself a Morehouse man, so it's going to be pretty good. So, but he's from Decatur, so he's a real good guy. And so I am originally from Carrollton, Georgia, but I've been in Atlanta since I was 4 years old. My parents are still living, Margaret and Grady Gamble. Some of you know my dad's been kind of ailing a bit. He coded twice, but by the grace of God, he's alive and moving and talking and everything. So we thank God for that. But then I'm from Atlanta. I was went to high school not too far from here at Northside, and I went to college at West Georgia Liberty. I have degrees from Springs of Life Bible College in Fort Myers, Florida, and Kingdom Bridge Builders Bible Institute in Decatur, Georgia. I am a Christian educator, author, publisher, ministry leader, organizational strategist, and I've been exploring biblical theology probably for the last 30 years. And my theology deals with spiritual formation, Christian identity, leadership, purpose, and prophetic development. I'm the principal architect of Scroll 5 Publishing House. And what we do with Scroll 5 Publishing House, we so far what we're doing, we publish my books, we published a book for Dexter, we're publishing books for my wife. Her books will be dealing specifically with our children, how to get a child into a service academy, how to deal with a child with ADHD, and how to raise a child with type 1 diabetes, which will be very instrumental in helping other people. I've been in ministry probably for the last 30 years, as a preacher, as a pastor, as a leader, just been in all types of ministry. I started out in the Baptist church, went to the Methodist church, did what they call Church of God in Christ, which is a Pentecostal church, and then I did independent churches too. We founded, and the last ministry assignment I had was in Selma, Alabama. I was on staff at a church in Selma, Alabama. I used to travel back and forth every week to Selma, Alabama. I spent 4 days down there doing ministry, and when I say do ministry, it was much more than preaching. It's visiting the sick, seeing about people, helping people that were needy, because that was an extremely needy city. And then we would collaborate with other ministries. And I'm one of the founders of this ministry. It's called Ruach Transforming Ministries Worldwide. And with that particular ministry, what we did was in the states of Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, we would take churches that were ailing and having problems and help them build themselves back up. We also were able to raise up leaders and also consecrate those leaders. So we've consecrated our fair share of overseers and bishops too. On the secular side, I got 20 years of leadership management experience. I've run multi-million-dollar companies, and I did up until 2017 when I had a heart attack. So after that, I had to do something easy. That's why I'm doing this. So.
That's why you're writing books?
No. Working here at Heartis. I love Heartis. I'm gonna tell you y'all. I love you all too.
I'm surprised you're saying we're easy.
Well, you know what I'm saying? But no, everybody's nice to me, and I'm nice to you. So
You're a nice man.
yeah, and so I've enjoyed taking each one of you everywhere you needed to go. I consider it a privilege to be among you all today. So I appreciate it, and I thank Leo.
And we appreciate
Yeah.
it.
And so I have a 23-volume journey. I started writing probably about 25 years ago. And when I started writing, I would have these legal pads. I would go to Sam's and get these big things of legal pads. And I would just write down my ideas, not knowing that eventually they will become books. And what those ideas were my processes as a person, my processes as a father, my processes as a spiritual leader, my process as one that was seeking the will of God. That's what I used to do. I just sit and just write for hours. And eventually, when the iPads came out, I used notes. So I got notes from here to eternity. And I would write. And what started happening is that when I decided to finally write, I had a friend, it's really my business partner. And he encouraged me to go ahead and write the first book. And what he said to me was, get it out there. He said, doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be perfect, Xavier. He said, get it out there. He said, you have something to say. And that's what I've done. It's gotten it out there. And you know, for me, once I was talking to Ms. Feynman, I was telling her that once I got started, I can't stop. I'm constant. If I'm sitting down, I'm doing it. If I'm downstairs sitting at the desk, I might be doing okay, but I'm doing it. You know, I'm just writing. So, and what I have in my writings is I have devotionals. I have 2 separate series, and those series deal with a Christian in their development as believers, from their inception in God and how they matriculate through their Christian spaces. And what I started finding out is that it dealt with all religious spaces, not just the Christian space. So I started finding that out, and so my current project is an advanced series, which is more of a theological series that additionally helps people with their formation as believers. And then it also deals with what a person, it deals with their origin and what they can become and how to responsibly carry what God has revealed to them. That's what I deal with. And like I said before, I helped Dexter with his first book. It's called Your First Calling, How Not to Abandon Yourself. And that book deals with how you pour yourself into something to the degree that you wear yourself out. And it talks about how not to do that, because we all do that. So, and then like I said, I have a children's book too. And the children's book is my sister-in-law. We're working on a book, and the book is about her son and how he matriculated into becoming Stevie Wonder's saxophone player. But it's an encouragement for young people to believe and to do what they, to whatever passion they have, they need to pursue it. So that's what I'm doing. Which good.
So first, I think that round of applause. I appreciate those remarks, and I hope that provides some, much desired and needed context as well into who Mr. Xavier is. I know a lot of us know him as the driver, the Heartis employee, but like many of us, we have lives outside of our jobs. As many of you know that this is just one side of us, so to see the other side is definitely something that I'm sure we all can enjoy and appreciate. So moving on into more of the kind of writing process, the first question that I'll pose is, where do your ideas or inspiration sort of derive? As well as how do you decide which idea is worth developing into a book or into a devotional? I know that you are someone that's very deeply rooted in Christianity and spirituality as well. So is that a large part of it? Is it something that you like to have, multiple people? I know you had mentioned a business partner as well, your wife as well. Is it something where you kind of like to bump heads with individuals on ideas, or is that something that you like to keep to yourself? How do you get the ideas in order to write these devotionals / books? And how do you know which ones are ones that you should follow through with, or ones that should just remain ideas?
Well, originally it's just inspiration, and a lot of it's inspiration from my experiences with God. It could be that a conversation that I'm having with him, and then he answers me. I might write about that. I might even write about the corrections of what we need to do with inside of a religious institution. I write about that. And then sometimes I just write about how the Lord is mature. And then the other thing is that when I see where the body of Christ is and how the body of Christ needs to matriculate, I will write about how I think they need to matriculate at the same time respecting their theology, because everybody has theology or thoughts about God.
Yeah.
I do that. The other inspiration is just that through time, you begin to develop experiences that need to be voiced on paper.
Yeah.
And so that's what I do. I voice what I've experienced on paper, good, bad, and ugly, because it's going to help someone. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
So you said at the beginning that you write. So I want to know: do you begin your writing by hand?
Oh yeah.
And so the next problem is to get it into type. So do you do the typing, or do you have someone to type for you?
Dictate.
You dictate.
Oh yeah.
And so you have the computer to change the words you say into text. Is that correct?
Yeah, right. Because you can do it with an iPad. You can just go a phone.
Okay, so
Talk to the
then
phone.
how do you get this to the publisher?
I'm the publisher.
Right, but so how do you print? I'll say it that way.
So what I do is that I'm an independent publisher. So what I do is I put in a Word document, right? I take that Word document, I have it proofed. Once I get the document proofed, I put it into a certain format. Then I download it to KDP, and then KDP publishes as a digital book first, and then later on down the line, I put it into print. And so I have 23 digital books, and I think I have, let me see.
Yeah, but see the cover on those. I don't know how you get the cover and.
Oh, you can. Well, the thing with the cover, this is just a simple cover, right? The reason I did the simple cover because I wanted to get it out, right? But you could go to Canva and take Canva and download whatever cover you want to this. You can design the cover, do whatever you want to do with the cover.
Uh-huh.
You even can take AI and say, AI, I want this. And the AI do the cover for you.
So that's what I was going to come to. You use AI to help you with doing the cover and everything?
No, not for these I didn't. Not for these, I didn't use AI at all. You know, with these, I just formulated them because KDP has it where you can make a cover. You could choose this particular design and the colors, and what it does is it puts the title on there for you, your name, and then it allows you to put your bio on the back and office notes.
What is KDP?
Kindle Direct Publishing.
That's his.
Yeah, because you
Your
can do.
company?
No, it's Kindle, like.
Oh, Kindle.
Yeah,
Oh,
Kindle
okay.
app, they have where you can publish a book, you know.
Okay.
And then you can do the same thing with Barnes and Noble and Boards. So the thing that really helped me more than anything is that to cut costs, you can do that. It makes it a whole lot easier. And you get it out quick.
Yeah.
And these are, let me see, 1, 2, 3.
And once you get them out, how do you market them, or where do they go?
You know how many to create.
So with Kindle, what happens is that once you do the digital book, you can buy the book outright and put inside your digital library. The other thing you could do is get Kindle Unlimited and pay a subscription to be able to read all the books for free. And then what they do is that they pay you per page that a person reads, or they pay you for when they buy the book. Now with these, with the paperbacks, once you can order the paperback and it's print on demand. So I don't have to carry an inventory at all. Now I do carry inventory because I want people to see the finished product.
So who reads to see if you misspell words or if you have two periods at the end of a sentence?
I
Who
mean,
does the editing?
I have editing. I have a friend, Angela White, who's an English major. She edits for me. My wife edits for me because she's an educator. And the girls do too, because the girls both, well, let me see. Christina, she does it for me. You know, she's working on her second master's, so they're qualified to do it. And then the baby does too. She's going to go to law school, so they'll edit for me.
Did you put pictures in any of your books?
Not yet.
Uh-huh.
Well, no, I take that back. Yeah, a picture of me, right?
Right.
But you can put pictures in it. You can. Yeah, you put pictures in it. It's real easy to do.
So in addition to devotion sort of things, since you were in Selma for 2 days, did you write some about your experiences there? Did you walk across the bridge or any of your experiences?
No, because I was in a ecclesiastical space of doing ministry. Now I did experience all of those things because I used to stay at the St. James. That's why I stayed all the time. And I would sit with my room facing the river, and I could see that bridge. And every time I saw that bridge, it would freak me out. And I would watch the bridge too. And then I knew some of the people in Selma that were involved with that, with civil rights.
Right.
I mean, you couldn't get across them. You know, even my pastor, Bishop Wells. Bishop is from Selma, so I got to learn the ins and outs because I was in Selma. I want to say this: I was in ministry in Selma for 7 years, but I went back and forth to Selma over the last 20 years. Because I'm actually the last 30 years, because he's from Selma, and he went to seminary up here in Atlanta. That's how I got to meet him. And then when I met him, I used to go back and forth to Selma. I mean, all the time. And I actually fell in love with Selma, to be honest with you. And Alabama proper, you know. And I know you're from not too far from there.
Yeah, born in Selma. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You're born in Selma. And then, you know, even like a lot of the officials in Selma, the judges, even the mayor Perkins. I knew Perkins personally. You know, you got a chance to meet all those people because Bishop also ran a cemetery in Selma. The big, Live Oak Cemetery, which is historical in itself. You know, so I would I would get around Selma,
Yeah.
you know, but I hadn't really written about my personal experience or anything historical in Selma. All my stuff is religiously based. Now, there are some things I experienced in Selma I couldn't experience anywhere else. But, and I thank God for being able to spend time in Selma, but as far as the historical aspect of it, I never written about it.
Really good questions. Also, we'll have time at the end for questions as well. But that pretty much answered the next question that I had as well. So I'll move on to the following one. So sort of staying on topic because I noticed you have 23 books that you have produced. So staying on that line, how do you maintain that momentum when writing a book? 23 books, that's a lot of books to write, devotionals to write. And as people, we can be up, we can be down. There's ebbs and there's flows. But how in the midst of those ebbs and flows do you maintain that momentum when writing a book? How do you stay sort of on that road and not get derailed? Or if you do get derailed, what is the process in getting back on track? So just give us a little bit on how you maintain that momentum to continuously publish books.
Well, how can I say? I'm gonna say it like this. Let me be real with you.
Be real with it. Be real. Be real.
You get frustrated a lot because
Yeah.
you get stuck a lot, you
Yeah.
know. And then life happens, I would get stuck. And then I would just take a couple of days off,
Yeah.
kind of get rewired, do something other than that, and then start back. But it's almost like you get an epiphany. I mean, I'm saying for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I get this epiphany. I was like, man, you got to hurry me finish this. And I would get back on it and I would just run with it until I get tired. Recently, like I told you, my dad got sick. So I pretty much took like 5 weeks off because I was attending to him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're sitting in the hospital and then he says, they tell you, Dad, I only got 6 hours to live. But then this goes out the window, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
If you don't really get a chance to really focus on it. Because it's not where your mind is. But then once things get settled, with me, what happens is I just have to ease back into it. And so what I do is I take inventory of what I was working on. Then I find out where I am. I look at the work that I was working on. Then I look at, because it's like an ecosystem. I look at where I am because, at one time I was doing a podcast once a week, right? And then on top of that podcast, I was posting every day because I would take the podcast and I would break it down into 7 seconds, 30 seconds, 2 minutes, sections of the podcast. The majority of the time the podcast was talking about what was in the book, but I would be going a whole lot slower. So say for instance, like if I was dealing with this book, Save the Sick, I would be dealing with the first 2-3 pages of it, and I would be posting about that and talking about it in a long form at first, but then I would break it down into smaller pieces. And so I was posting every day, and I couldn't do that when he was in the hospital sick. I could not keep that momentum. And so I had to slow down. So the main thing I kept saying to myself, I still have to do what I call the Sunday gathering, which is where I can talk about a particular subject. And within that particular subject, I do it for about 35, 40 minutes, sometimes 50 minutes, and I get that out. But as far as the writing, I have to kind of put it on hold until I can get centered again. And sometimes it takes a longer time to get centered than you think.
Definitely.
Because you'll be sitting up, you'll be saying, well, I want to be finished with this now, and I want to be finished with that. It's just like I want to say, like one of the things I'm trying to do now is take the digital books and put them into paperback format, right? So in my mind, I would set the schedule and I would say, okay, well, I'm going to have a couple done by next Wednesday, right? Well, that didn't get done because Daddy was sick.
Yeah.
Or this weekend, I wanted to do some work and I had a sinus infection. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You have to stop, recenter yourself. I have to stop and recenter myself and then start back over. And then one thing I realized too was that I had not done a podcast on the second series. I said, man, I ain't done a podcast on the second series. So I have to recenter myself so I know where I am with it, because life happens. And when I say it happens, we weren't expecting my daddy to code, but he did. So, and I keep going back to that because that's the center point right now. And, but you have to kind of recenter yourself. I mean, I have to recenter myself and then start over extremely slowly, very slow, methodically. And then a lot of times in my head, what I would do was write down where I needed to be at a certain day. I would give myself plans or something like that on where I was going to be. And a lot of times I have to throw that out because it's not where I am at the time. So that's where I am.
Thank you so much for that response. Thank you, and I appreciate just your willingness to share as well. I definitely appreciate it. And I guess you could consider it a two-part question because it sort of rolls into my next question, which is, in your words or in your opinion, how much of the writing process is dependent on routine and discipline versus creativity and spontaneity, right? So, like much creative things that we do, whether you're an artist, a singer, a musician, or a writer, there's kind of like a fine line between, routine and discipline and trying to create, even if you may not have that creative sort of burst or inspiration, but it's kind of a line, because if you have no inspiration or no creative outlet that you can express, then it's kind of hard, even with a routine, to create something if there really is no inspiration there. So as a writer, how do you sort of find that fine medium of staying disciplined, staying on with a routine, but still generating inspiration and that flair and that willingness, that want to create? Because it doesn't always seem to correlate, at least from my experience. So speak to a little bit about some of those times where you may have a lull in creative sparks or inspiration, and how do you go about sort of balancing that? If you have to, you may not have to.
No, you have to. One thing I can say, a lot of my writing, especially when you're dealing with the religious subject,
Yeah.
the main thing that I'm trying to do is to make sure that I'm contextually accurate as far as the Bible goes.
Yeah.
I don't want to be out of context. I don't want to be talking about something and it's way out of left field somewhere. I want people to be able to relate to what I'm saying in relation to what the Word of God is saying, what the Bible is saying. And so, let's say, for instance, like this book right here, Saved to Sit, right?
Yeah.
So salvation, in my estimation, from a theological perspective, is when a person accepts the Lord as their personal Savior, right? But what happens in a lot of cases inside of the ecclesiastical space is that people will make that declaration, but they will start to try to achieve what they think God wants, and then establish a set of rules and regulations, and then they say, well, if I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't cuss, you know what I'm saying?
You're perfect.
I'm saved. And then you put out this perfect mantra. And the thing about that perfect mantra is that it's impossible to do. But what happens inside the ecclesiastical space is people don't understand that this position is what they might call a position of rest. It's a one and done thing. It's more relational from my theological perspective to have a relationship with God rather than it is to try to be perfect in what you're doing. And so that spawned this book, because saved to sit doesn't mean saved and doing a whole bunch of stuff. Saved to sit means you're in a place of rest with God. You're sure in your salvation with Him. That's what this book is about. And so that's why I write. And so the inspiration came because I kept seeing the people of God struggling in these spaces, trying to do something or be something that they already were. You're already a child of God. Why are you trying to work your way to and through this? That's too much effort, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's why I write like that. And so the inspiration will pop up like that. And then the inspiration also, I was writing to myself.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, man, Xavier, you keep trying to achieve these things through your own human efforts when he's already taking care of you. And so so I write to myself too, because I'm writing about my me traversing those ecclesiastical spaces.
Leonard, to take off on what you're saying and Leonard's question, in terms of discipline, and I know you can't write when you're working.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you can, I don't know.
Oh, no, you can always write.
And I know your father's been ill. But do you, like so many writers do, set aside a special time in the evening or on weekends? Or is it just when you feel like it?
Both. And I'm gonna tell you why, because let's say it was like, if I'm coming back from taking you somewhere, right?
Mhm.
I got that dictation, so I go to town, you know what I mean? I have my phone in the phone holder, all I got to do is hit the button
Record,
in notes, right? And it's going to write down everything I say, and I can worry about editing it later. But now I set aside time now, because I say in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get home. So when I leave here, right, it's an hour and 15-minute commute, right? So I get home, I'm like, I'm gonna eat dinner, and tonight, I have an office. And this is very similar to my office too. I said, I'm going to my office, and I'm gonna sit down, and I'm going to write.
Uh-huh.
And that's what I do. I'll go sit in that office and write until I get tired. Not unless Karen say I can't go down there, so, which is my wife, you know. But no, I set aside a lot, even especially on the weekends. Weekends is like prime time for doing it, and I really like to do it after 3 o'clock on the weekends. I don't like to do it before 3. Or say if it's like, if I'm washing clothes, because the wash and dry downstairs around the corner from my office, I'm washing clothes. So I said, I'm gonna be down here for about 3 or 4 hours washing and drying clothes, so I might as well write. And so that's what I do. And I get a kick out of it. But then, majority of the time, I do try to set aside time to do it. And then, the other thing that happens, because we like to spend time together in the evening too, I'll bring my computer upstairs, and while she's looking at all her game shows in the evening, I'm writing. But I'm talking to her too, because I don't want to get in trouble.
And she's writing too, you said.
No, she writes, yeah. Yes, sir.
So when you say I write, do you mean I dictate, or do you mean you're actually writing?
To me, it's the same thing.
They're the same, okay.
Yeah, it's the same
Okay.
thing. I mean, because I'm writing down what's in my head,
Uh-huh,
but at the same time, I'm speaking.
uh-huh,
But the hardest thing to get used to is the dictation part,
uh-huh.
because you're talking and you want to talk how you write. I don't know. I hope I'm making sense. You want to talk how you write, but it doesn't always work out that way. And so when I'm talking, I can dictate. Like I get to talking now, I get to saying my thought, but then when I'm writing, I'm organizing at the same time,
Uh-huh.
putting it together. You know.
Oh, so does it sometimes wake you up in the middle of the night?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh my God! Now you're saying something there, man. How can I say this? Before I got my CPAP, I'll be up every night at 3 o'clock. No joke. 3 o'clock, I get up, I go to the couch, I get fussed at by my wife,
Right.
and I start writing.
I know about that.
Yeah, I start writing. So I'll sit up, but so a lot of times, in lieu of dictating, you take notes and I just start writing in the notes with my phone or my iPad.
Uh-huh.
I kind of like it with the phone because it's a whole lot faster than the iPad, because the iPad is big, but I start writing and I put it, because it'll be like a piece of the book or a piece of a chapter that if I don't write it down, I'm gonna forget it because I go back to sleep. Now I do that all the time. I mean, but since I got this CPAP, man, ooh boy, I get some good sleep now, But when I didn't have the CPAP, you're gonna wake up anyway, you're gonna wake yourself up because you can't breathe, you know, but, and I used to do that, I did that probably, I did that for years, but it's funny you say that, but that does happen, but even sometimes with the CPAP on, I'll be sitting up, I'll be sitting there and I can't sleep, and then my mind would cross something, and I would get in trouble because I would have the phone in my hand next to my wife, and the light wakes her up.
Yeah.
So I would have to put the cover over my head, and then write, and start writing. But I would do that in a minute, you know. And then she was like, "Why you have that light in my face?" I said, "Come on, Karen," because her name's Karen. I said, "Don't be a Karen," but you know.
I'm sorry, what is that? Like, what is you said CPAP?
CPAP.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm
CPAP.
sorry, what is that?
It's a breathing machine.
Oh, it's a breathing
Yeah,
machine.
keeps your airway open.
Especially.
Do you have that, or do you have the one that's implanted?
Oh, no, I got that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I got that, because I just stick it on my nose,
Okay.
and then put the strap back there, and go to sleep. I used to have one that looked like a space,
Yeah.
but I don't have that one anymore. The one with my nose, I just stick it in there, and, it gives you a score every night. So I've been in the 90s. Yes, ma'am.
How much of the notes that you dictate to yourself, that you look at later, how much of it has to be redone? How often do you have to say, "Oh, why did I ever write that?" and then write it again?
Most of it.
Okay, makes me feel better.
Yeah, because you start, when I found out that what I'm writing might not fit something. And so I would catalog that to the side. And then, or I would rewrite it and just use a piece of it, because it would be an incomplete thought or something like that. But I do that all the time. I just like, okay, why did I write this? You know, I remember one time I was writing this book, and then I was writing this book, and when I was writing the book, you know, I was well into the book, and I was like, this book doesn't make any sense. This book's not gonna help anybody, and I put it on the side. But it's where I can revisit it when I get ready, you know. But I put it aside, or I might say, well, this is short-sighted, and this is not really what I'm trying to say. So let me put it on the side. I revisit it later, and then a lot of times it would become a part of something else, you know. Because what happens is when I'm writing, I'm developing this framework, and so when I'm developing this particular framework, what I'm writing might not fit that framework, so I have to table it until later. Yes, sir.
I have recently learned how to have the computer read to me what I had written.
Yes,
and I
sir.
have found that to be very helpful to hear the words and see how the sentences, if they have a rhythm to it and so forth. So having the computer read to me was a good thing to learn.
So it's funny you say that. Let me hold on a second. I love you, Jill, man. You bring it all out, Mr. Harris. So what I do is I do this. Let me see if I can get it to do it.
And has anyone not had a chance to see the biography handout that I passed around?
I would like to see
I'd love to see it.
Here's one.
Okay, let me look at it. Thank you.
Yeah, home is Tokyo.
Title page.
I haven't seen it, but
He's got it now.
thank you very much. I appreciate that.
He's got it.
I didn't know, yes.
This record stands as a judicial testimony and not a mere commentary. It bears witness to what the Spirit of the Lord revealed through the prophet Ezekiel, the
Good,
movement
yeah.
of divine inspection through the temple.
So what I do a lot, it's funny, we dig it into. What I do a lot of times is, when I'm getting ready to go to sleep, I listen to what I've written. and that's kind of like,
Put you to
it's
sleep.
a partial, it does, but at least I'm up for like an hour and I'm listening to see if it has a flow. I do that all the time. And then even when I'm writing sometimes, I'll notes it'll do it for you too. It'll read what you've written and see if it makes sense, you know.
Right.
But I do that all the time, yeah. Yes, sir.
All right, great discussion. So we were kind of already getting into it now, sort of like the challenges, but I'll kind of just present it into an official question format. So what have been some of the biggest challenges you have encountered in becoming and sustaining yourself as an author? And what have these experiences taught you? Now, I know you had mentioned your father earlier, and of course it can be personal, but it could also be pertaining just to the overall craft of writing, from publishing to brainstorming ideas, just the entire umbrella. So just kind of outlining some of those challenges that you faced in different aspects and what you've learned in the process of those challenges as well.
So December 2024 was the last time I dealt with the ministry itself. So I was used to it. I wasn't even really writing a lot then. And I was just running back and forth up and down the road. And so when I stopped, I had to unplug from that, and that took 6 weeks. Then I had to give myself permission to write. And when I say I had to give myself permission to write, I had to say to myself, it's okay to write. You're worthy of writing something. People need to hear what you have to say. And like I said before, my business partner, really he's my best friend. He said, Xavier, just put it out there. Don't worry about what it is so much so. He said, put it out there. So it was almost like he took his foot and kicked me in the butt. And I got started then. And then I kept saying to myself, like, it's challenging, but it's necessary. So the first few things I wrote, I hated them. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I don't like this. This is not what I'm trying to say. But once I got started, I started realizing that there was already a download there that just needed to be expressed on paper. So that download of information that was already there just needed to be categorized, needed to be put into perspective, needed to be put in its proper place. And even after that, some of the things I wrote, I hate. And I hate it. When I say I hate it, I'm like, oh, what? This doesn't make any sense. This is not what I'm trying to say. And so I had to keep rehashing until I put out a product that I liked. And then I tell you what would happen was that, let's say I have a finished product, and I think I'm satisfied with it, but I'm really not. And there's a hesitancy there to the point where I don't even want to, you know how you don't want to hear your voice? Mm-hmm. You don't want to see, you don't want to read what you have written.
Yeah.
But after a while, I said, oh, wow, that was what I was trying to say. This does make sense. You know what I mean? Because there are certain things when I'm writing that I'm trying to get over to the reader, And then at the same time, I do realize some of the things I'm reading, they're not going to reach, the audience is supposed to reach until they matriculate through some of the material. So, because like this book links you to the next book, links you to the next book, links you to the next book. But you got to read this one first. It was so funny. I remember I was reading this author. His name was Dr. Michael Heiser. So he was an expert in Near Eastern theology. So he had a book called Supernatural. But in order to understand Supernatural, you had to read the 3 previous books. Well, me, being cocky, I read Supernatural first, and then I had to go back. And when I went back and read the other books, I was like, okay, this makes, sense.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he had other writings that were at a high level, but what he was trying to do is shed light on the Near Eastern experience. He said, but this is how the New Testament people thought, or this is how, whatever century they were in, this is how they thought. You had to get that thought process down in order to be able to understand what they're saying. But it gets real difficult at times, because it's almost like, for me, I had to believe in myself in order to be able to put something on paper. I had to have confidence of some sort to put it on paper. And I'm gonna tell you, the biggest thing is, if you're a person, like I used to be a person that used to be afraid what people would say to me or critique. I used to hate that. I had to grow beyond that and just put the material out there. But it's gonna be somebody that don't like what you write. Somebody's not gonna agree with what you say. And then you get certain people that when they do read the material, they're like, oh my God, this is Xavier, this is what, you know, what I've been wanting to hear. Case in point, Leon's read some of my material, and Leon said, Xavier, this is what we need, this is what we need in the body of Christ. He said, this is what we need, this is not in the body of Christ, man, you need to keep writing like this. That's an encouragement, but then on the backside, you might get somebody to say, man, I don't know what this stuff is. You know, you have to be able to move beyond what you think people are going to say. And it does, because it doesn't matter, you know, because even like when you post a podcast, not that you care about what they say, you do. But then you have to realize people are they're at certain levels, and you have to just let it go off your back and just keep doing what you know you're called to do. Yes, sir.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I love you kind of mentioning that we're all at different stages, whether that be spiritually, physically, mentally. And so oftentimes what may not resonate with someone at a given point in time could change, you know, over the course of years or months. And so that's definitely important. And it rolls into my final question. Again, at the end, we'll have the floor for you all if you have questions also. I really appreciate you guys coming as well. So to close this out for me, what advice would you give to aspiring authors who have ideas, who have inspiration, but are having a hard time finding direction? I know you kind of touched on it just now with you know, not being so invested in the opinions of others, at least early on. What are some other things?
Later on too, but you know, one thing is so funny because I was writing questions for y'all. But anyway, one of the exercises I was going to have you do today was think about a book that you would like to write and give it a title, but let the title be one word.
Let the title be one word.
One word, just one word, and that's where you start. You know, because you already know what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
You know what you love to do. Start with that one word, and then just let it roll. Because everybody in here, I mean, I've talked to a lot of you all in here, and you have amazing lives, and it needs to be written about. You know what I mean? It's like when I found out he was a professor, I started calling him professor. I said, Professor. I didn't know she was a lawyer. I didn't know she was a professor.
I'm a professor too.
I said, you a professor too? Yeah. And then you start finding out who people were in their past lives, and start finding out who they are, and you start to appreciate who they are. You know what I mean? And you start finding out, Miss Tillman, you were a teacher. You know what I mean? You start finding out who people are. And so I was like, start with that one word and just keep going. You'd be surprised where you end up.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. So I will now open the floor to anyone that has questions. One more round of applause for Mr. Xavier. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Wayne.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think I know the answer to this, but I think that having your family has been not only just a support as family is, but for your writing and everything, that they all, since many of them are doing this, you know, similar, that I presume that is a good support system that you have built right into your family. Is that correct?
Yeah, they're supportive. They were slow at first, but then they start kind of, you know, because the family's gonna be slow. They're like, "Who do you think you are being an author?" You know, and then especially the daughters, because my daughters are really critical, because they've known me to start stuff and not finish. So they were like, "Dad is sticking with this," and so we get behind it. You know, with Karen. Like I said, she proofs a lot of material, and then she gives me feedback. The girls, they'll give you feedback. Now my son is critic of critics, and he gives me tremendous feedback, and his wife does too. But you know, when they're behind you, you know, you can kind of, even though they're not saying it, you got to push, and you got a green light, you know. But the main thing is the friends. Now, the friends that you have. Well, let me use it like this. I use Dexter as an example. So every Sunday night, I put out a podcast, and so a piece of podcast. So Dexter will call me 7 o'clock Monday morning when I'm driving to work. He said, Xavier, I got so much out of that, and then he goes into detail about what he heard and how it helped him. And this particular one was the 5th in a series. It was the 5th podcast in a series of 5. And so that really encouraged me because he said he's getting something out of it. The book Seasons I have, I gave my mother a copy. And then my mother told me, she said, I needed this right now, Xavier. Thank you. You know, that's what she said to me. And I was like, what? And I was shocked because my mother is the critic of critics. and she's the critic of critics, so to get that stamp of approval from her meant everything, you know. But family and your close friends, and your friend, like my business partner, he's invested with me. He's been with me through the process, you know. We used to walk 8 to 10 miles every day on the Panola Mountain Trail. I remember we just talk all the time, because, so he became familiar with me, period. But we've been friends since high school, so. But that's the same person that encouraged me to go ahead and do it, and I did it, so.
Hey, I think,
So I'm interested, I think the ambition to create a publishing house, that's really great. But also, I'd like to understand what it is. You know, here at Heartis, we have a storytellers group which creates memoir, poetry, fiction. So suppose this group put together a collection of stuff that they have written, and could they give it to you and say, here, will you publish this?
Yeah, because it's a little. Now, one thing I did, and I want to be.
It's not religious, you understand.
No, I know it doesn't have to be religious, not at all. But the funny thing was, I said to myself when I was doing it, I was like, I got to be legit. So I said I had to be legit, and when I said legit, I mean legitimate. I didn't even say legit. I sound like MC Hammer. I'm sorry. Too legit, it's legit, legitimate. I wanted to be legitimate, right? So what I did was, it's a business. It's a real life business sanctioned by the state of Georgia. IRS, everything. We're good to go.
Xavier, who buys your books?
That's a good question. Ooh, that's a good question. I'm gonna preface it by saying I don't know, because in the digital format,
That's right.
only thing you know is which country they bought it from. So according to the KDP, I've sold books in Australia, Indonesia, Germany, UK, Mexico, Canada.
Wow.
And what happens is, at the end of every month, they give you a report on who read pages and who actually bought the book. So it gives you an indication on where they bought the book from. And so I kept saying to myself, I remember the first time I saw somebody just read 5 pages in Indonesia. I got happy and started running around the house. I was like, well, somebody likes my material. You know? But they bought books, and then I hate to keep saying, but you, based on that report, you find out who did what. Even like with the podcast, they let you know how many and who did what.
Well, Xavier, we have a section of our library that is reserved for Heartis authors.
Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
So I want to invite you to share any of your books that you want to and put them in the library.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
And
ma'am.
we've got books by several folks already, so we'd be I'm more than happy to put some of yours in there,
Yes,
to see if
ma'am.
people would like to read them.
That's a ditto because Miss Feynman asked me first. She said, Xavier.
What?
And she asked Dexter too, because we got, but I plan on doing that real soon.
Well, it's on the, for those who don't know, it's right down there, second from the bottom. It's books by Heartis authors.
But these are some of them. This is book seasons I was telling you about here.
Interesting.
And these two,
Is that about seasons of our life?
yes ma'am. Yeah. I'm gonna read the preface. Life has a way of teaching lessons that cannot be learned from a classroom, a book or lecture. And it's an extremely simple book, but it's an encouraging book. Some truths are discovered only through experience. They are found in the long days of hard work, quiet moments, reflections, the challenges we overcome, and the relationships we cherish, and it just goes on from there. So that's what this is about. These are all religious books here. These are the first two in the series, but the series I think is 9 books, and then this is just a devotion right here. So it's a 30 CD degree. So it's a Christian devotion. So
Amazing, thank you.
these are some of my books, but that's it though. But you know, that's what I've done, and Professor Feynman been on my tail about these books. But I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
And Mr. Harris too. So, but I appreciate everything. But thank you all for allowing me.
Thank you.